I don't think there's any getting through to you, and I don't want to be friends with you. I don't want to be associated with you. And I need to say that very publicly so that this chapter can just be closed.
And
Hi you guys, my name is Cherita and I need an intro. So obviously you know what today's video is going to be about because you saw the thumbnail, you saw the title. We really need to discuss like all areas of what's happened between James Charles and Tati Westbrook. Let's just start with that. This isn't just James Charles is wrong, he's canceled, that's the end of the story. And you know, and Tati is like this saving grace that we've all been wanting and longing and needing. That's not what this is going to be about. Now, if you don't know me, I tend to look at things from both sides of the situations. I'm a very respectful person. I try not to call people out of their names because, well, that's just who I am. But I'm going to try my best to explain why I feel the way I do about both parties, okay? All right. This drama all started because James Charles did a sponsored ad for Sugar Bear hair after Coachella, and Tati got upset, and we knew this wasn't just like, oh my gosh, she's overreacting, this is just about vitamins. Like, nobody is gonna get upset just because of the vitamins. Like, that's not what it is. We knew there were layers to this situation. And come to find out, today Tati posted a 43-minute video and laid out everything that went wrong with her and James. Now I'm going to be touching on the things that I think I have something to add in, but I highly advise you guys to go and watch her video. But if you don't want to, I'll do my best to just put it all here in less than 43 minutes. So the video starts out with clips of Tati like supporting James, like, this is James, like they're hugging. She's like using his palette. Make sure you use code James for 10%. She's in the Morphe store. She's buying a Morphe palette and was like, sorry James, I have to get this I have to get this palette, but don't forget to use code James for 10% off. So she's like hyping this kid up, right? So after the James thing, then it breaks into Gabriel Zamora basically calling Tati out, you know, saying like, why are you on the internet crying about vitamins? Then it breaks into her talking about the situation. So she says what set her off is she got a text from James 9 days after Coachella, which from what I gathered, Tati and James had been in communication from the time that Coachella ended to the time that he posted this sponsored ad. So to her, she's like, well, I've talked to James since then, and she gets this text and it was like, hey, just let you know, I'm posting this ad, no big deal. And it's like, okay, no big deal for who? Because obviously Tati feels some type of way. So it wasn't a big deal to James, but it was a big deal to Tati. And she said that this was normal, or this was typical behavior of James. Here's my surprise face. We've been telling you guys, we have been letting everybody know that James ain't it. We've been saying it, but you know what, we'll get there. Tati was really confused because James had been dragging Sugar Bear hair care, whatever it's called, and also he had talked about influencers that have done sponsors with Sugar Bear hair care, whatever it's called. But magically, like at Coachella, they gave him security, which, you know, the whole thing was made up. Anyways, he said he was at Coachella, he needed security, Sugar Bear hair was there. Ooh, I'm a rapper. They were there, and basically they did an exchange. Okay, so we will give you security, James, and James, just make sure you just post this. No money, no nothing. Okay, so if that was the case, why did it take him 9 days to come forward to Tati to be like, oh, just, you know, I'm about to do this thing, no big deal? Yeah, right. She said that he has a way of saying things and portraying things to get his way. We know. He is a very privileged individual and it shows. But basically, like, within that part of the video, he basically like minimized her pain and was like, you'll be fine. Get over it. You're not, you're not hurt. Your feelings aren't hurt. Who are you to tell that that did not affect them? Now, whether you agree with it or not, if they're telling you, hey, this hurt me, then it hurt them. And all you can do is just listen and accept what they're saying. You can't tell them you have no right to feel this way. Now, what they do after that, if they go back and they retaliate hate with hate, then you can say, hey, maybe you shouldn't have reacted that way. But to tell somebody that so I remember this quote from a long time ago. It was like, you can't be sad because people have it worse than you, but that's just like saying you can't be happy because people have it better than you. Like, if these are my feelings, these are my feelings, and those were her feelings. She also had something valuable to say, which I will link here.
You are always going to experience heartbreak, and that's part of being human. For me, I always like to say that just because the person next to you is in a full body cast doesn't mean that your broken arm doesn't hurt. Pain is pain.
Then she goes on to talk about how fame, power, and a fat bank account will cause you to change. But if you have somebody telling you, hey, you probably shouldn't be doing that, then that will humble them and bring them back down to earth. And Tati was trying to be that person to James. But apparently he didn't want to listen. And he has surrounded himself around yes people, because let's talk about him singing and dancing. Who told him that it was okay for him to get up on that stage and sing and dance? People are going to cheer and applaud for him because they're stans, which stan culture can't relate. But people are cheering for him, clapping for him, good job, blah, blah, blah. No, it's not okay. James, your lane is YouTube. Stay in your lane. People are not giving you constructive criticism on your singing and dancing because they're haters. They're doing it because they are giving you an opportunity to grow. They're trying to tell you, hey, you probably shouldn't do it because you're embarrassing yourself. Prime example, there's this video that I cannot stop watching, and I apologize to everybody on my timeline that has seen this video, but he's singing and he does this like faux hip roll, because there was no roll, there was no hip. Then he does like this drop and he like bounces twice, but the drop was so bad it sounded like if you were to drop like a little pebble in the middle of the ocean and it went bloop. Like that's what, like, if his drop was a sound, that's the sound it would make. The drop was just like, it was offbeat, like it just wasn't cute. And then when he stood up from that drop, he was like he did something. No, stop doing these things because it's not cute. And you need somebody in your corner to tell you, hey, James, just let you know that wasn't okay. But you also need to be able to go up to somebody and be like, hey, how do you think I did? And they give you an honest answer. You don't need all these yes people in your corner, because it sounds like you had one, but we saw how that ended. Then Tati was like, you know what? I owe James, well, she didn't say oh, but basically she was like, I know I should probably talk to him in person. And then she caught wind of the fact that he was giving information to drama channels to basically try to give his side of the story, to try and divert it so he can do damage control. Yeah, that's not okay. And I remember, so I was watching a live from Ashley Kyle, and somebody was like, hey, how'd you get those text messages talking about James Charles engaged, which we will get into that later. But she kind of gave this like innocent look and was like, I'll never tell. And I would not be surprised if James was the one that leaked those messages to her. And I've seen a couple of people on Twitter saying things like, I wouldn't be surprised if James was the person giving out all this information, because that's just who he is. We've been trying to tell you. Then she goes on to talk about how like some of the DMs that she has gotten about James and, within these past couple of days have just been so disgusting and so problematic, and she can't protect it anymore. However, why were you protecting him before all of this vitamin thing. All I'm saying is she was complacent with what he was doing until it affected her directly. And that's the issue that I have. I personally think Tati is a pure individual. I'm pretty good at like reading people. But just because she's pure does not mean that she's not part of the problem, because she sat there and allowed James to drag Marlena, didn't say anything, even though she knew how he was. She didn't say anything about it then. Are we glad she's saying something now? Yes, but why did it take the vitamins? That was like the straw that broke the camel's back. But why was it something that was so personable to her? How come it wasn't when he drug Marlena through the mud? Or why wasn't it when he talked about the Ebola thing? Because she even said she was there during the time of the Ebola tweet. And all of these people of color and all these black people tried to tell everybody else, hey, this is toxic behavior. You guys should not be giving him a second chance. This is reason to cancel James. But what did everybody else say? You guys are just being sensitive. He's not racist. Okay? So say he's not racist. He's still a terrible human being, and that's what we have been trying to tell you guys. But nope, we're overly sensitive. Everybody wants to give this chance and that chance. And trust me, I believe in second chances. But when somebody shows you who they are, believe them. Because now Tati Westbrook, who is using her privilege, and she's out here telling you guys, this is what James said. And I don't think she's lying. I believe her video 1000%. But she's giving you all of these things without receipts, without video footage, without evidence, and you guys are just eating it up. But when somebody else tells you, hey, James is this, James is problematic, you guys are just sensitive. I think you guys are just overreacting. Okay, that's fine. Because me and my group of friends on Twitter, we know, we've been known. I'll link a video from my good sis Earth. She went in. She goes harder than I will ever go because that's just not me. But she went in on James and Tati and was like, listen, this is how it is. Back to the subject at hand. So Shane Dawson and Tati recently did a collab video together, and I think James thought that Tati was doing it to get back at James in some kind of like retaliation or something. But the only way that James would think that way is because that's something that he would do and probably something he has done. Tati said that her and Shane had this video planned for a long periodically time. So the fact that she did it and it just happened to fall during this time of James doing Tati dirty, I mean, yeah, it all lined up. But that doesn't mean she did it because she doesn't like James or because she was trying to get back at him. Like, I honestly feel that Tati has a maturity level that would not allow her to do something like that. How James and Tati kind of like got into it together is basically he buttered her up. You know, he told her all these nice things. I'm sure the things that he said he believed, but he said them to get her on his side. And, everybody noticed the age difference. Okay, I being a woman who is closer to Tati's age than to James's age, and somebody who has mentored people a lot younger than her, I understand where she's coming from and I understand why she took it on. I mean, looking at our youth and looking at our role models as somebody my age, it's scary. So she saw a chance and an opportunity to be like, okay, so James is this up and coming like person, and I can give him all of this wonderful advice that I hope he takes, and he can become this great role model for these younger people, because younger people look at us and they're like, oh, you're too old, you don't get it, you don't understand. And that's kind of how it is. And that comes with the age. So then she tells her story about her wedding and blah, blah, blah. And I will leave that up to her to tell because it's not my story. But she did say something interesting. She said that people that are buddy-buddy with him, they always didn't have his best interest at hand. And once again, that I believe. I believe the people that are buddy-buddy with him now, they're buddy-buddy with him because of his privilege. Okay, so then she said something that had me thinking. He's never had her on his channel. Like, I'm so confused about that. How many times has Tati had James on her channel? She had James on her channel when he had less subscribers than she did. And at the rate, you know what? Tati's about to pass James up because he's lost, almost like 500,000 subscribers today. And Tati, I don't know how many subs she's gained, but she's now at and past 6 million subscribers. James is still at 16 million, but the fact is Tati had James on her channel when he was down here, and now he's up here and he never had her on his channel. Not saying that he owed it to her, but if he loved her and and they were as close as he said they are, he would have had her on his channel. Then she goes in to talk about how he wanted to do an expose about exposing the beauty community, and she was like, bruh, do you not realize that you are in the beauty community? So you think you're above the beauty community to do an expose. And I understand that she had all these talks with him behind closed doors, because she even said, I told him not to do it, and it took hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of talking to convince him not to do it. She still even gave him his props and was like, he decided not to do it. No, you convinced him not to do it. Let's not get it twisted. She even told him this is gonna be the downfall of your career if you do something like this. But he literally thought that he was above everybody else in the beauty community, to where he could expose the beauty community. First, James, you have your big toe in the pool of the beauty community. You're like 19 years old. There are people who have been doing this longer than you have been alive. So who are you to try and do an expose about the beauty community? Then she's talking about how his demographics are like 12 to 13-year-old girls. And he's a role model for these kids because they see James Charles acting this way and they see his success like this. So they're thinking in their heads, oh, all I have to do is act like him and I can get to here. And he's not the best role model, because I know if my child was a 12 to 13-year-old person, I'm not going to limit to just male or female or trans or whatever, but if my child was 12 to 13 years old and they had interest in James Charles, I'd be like, no, we're not going to watch him. He over-sexualizes everything. And, as much as people talk about JoJo Siwa, they're like, She doesn't dress like a 16-year-old. She acts like this. She acts like that. Okay, well, she acts like her demographics. Now, I'm not saying that it's not weird, because I think it is, and she probably should grow with her audience, and she probably should be doing 16-year-old things, but she's a better role model. Like, I would honestly rather have my child act like JoJo than James. That's just me. So a couple days ago, this tweet came out and it was like, oh, do you remember when James Charles pretended to be a girl in order to obtain dick pics from boys on the soccer team? And I retweeted it and I was like, I'm not saying you're lying, but these are some serious allegations. So are there any, is there any proof? Are there any facts? Are there receipts? But now hearing what Tati had to say that James does, which we all knew he did, I don't need receipts anymore. I do not need receipts anymore. Now, I'm not saying that somebody's gonna come out and be like, oh, James tried this with me, but they've never met James a day in their life, because people will try to come up on this. But this girl tweeted this after the whole Gage situation, and everybody was talking mess about Gage. Gage is just doing this for this. Gage is just doing this for that. I 100% believe that Gage told James he was straight. I believe that. Tati said, you know, James was trying to hit on the waiter in Seattle, and, you know, he said that he was saying all these explicit things that he wanted to say, or that he wanted to do to this waiter, and Tati was like, hey, he's straight. And what did James say? It's okay, I'm a celebrity. And that's why, I'm gonna go off on a tangent, but this is why I hate it when people, you know, like when celebrities are accused of sexual assault or rape, and people go, oh, they're a celebrity, they don't have to do that. Oh, okay, so everybody in the world is just gonna give it up to this person because they're a celebrity. You cannot use that. Like, that is just such predatorial behavior, and it's disgusting. And the fact that James openly says that he's attracted to straight men, you played yourself, because you have to have a deep look within inside of you. What? A deep look inside of you. Oh, a deep look within you. And you really need to figure out why you have such strong feelings towards straight men, which, if they truly are straight men, you will never have a chance with. That's just like me saying, I love gay men. Oh, I got that from As Told by Kenya. You guys totally need to go check her out, because she is the bomb. But she made a good point about saying, like, that's like me going, oh my gosh, I love gay men, and I only go after gay men. How does that make any sense? Gay men obviously are not attracted to me, so why should I even waste my time with being attracted to them? James Charles, as a gay man, should not be, well, he can be, but should not limit himself to be like, I'm gonna turn that gay boy, or I'm gonna turn that straight boy out. It's not okay at all. So to wrap things up, Tati did say that she told James that keeping that sponsored Sugar Bear ad up was going to hurt her feelings, and she was even going to allow him to do she was going to pay him to do a sponsored video for Halo. But she just said, please, James, don't do this sponsorship because it will hurt me. And he still left it up for 24 hours, meaning it was sponsored. And during his apology, he never used Halo or Tati's name. Or maybe he did say Tati's name, I don't know. But he never used the brand. And Tati basically insinuated that under a contract, you can't use other names of competitors. So she's like, she said, I'm not stupid. I know it was sponsored. I know he got paid for it. Like, it is what it is. And honestly, like, people can come and say, oh, well, Tati's just lying and this, that, and the other. But like I said before, I think Tati's maturity level is way too high to make things up. And she also said that James knows her business plan and knows her next moves, so he can come back and retaliate. But as of a couple minutes ago, James already posted his apology video, which Peter Mon said, James, stay off of social media, don't post a video. But he went ahead and did it anyway. James truly needs somebody in his corner. Oh, and Tati called out his mom and was like, hey, I was out here, taking care of your boys. Now I'm handing it back to you. It's your turn. You need to do this. You need to do that. And you need to not worry about liking Instagram posts and liking tweets that are basically going against me. So I'm handing the ball back to you. It's back in your court. Come take care of your kids, because I'm not doing it anymore. And I was like, okay, Tati. So I don't feel sorry for Tati. I don't. Because we've all been warning these, not just Tati like specifically, but people have been making videos, people have been making tweets. I understand that our platform isn't as big, but we've been telling people and warning people since when he first came out. He started his whole career on a lie, and then the lies continued and continued and continued, and then it simmered down, and then people were like, oh, it's James, oh, James this, oh, James that. And I'm not gonna sit here and say that like I've hated this kid, because I don't. I'm an empath, and it's hard for me to hate people, but I've definitely been on the side of like, hey, James, reel it back, reel it in. I've been on that side. But I've also been on the side of, hey, congratulations, James. Like, hell, I bought his palette. So I've been on both ends. I don't feel sorry for Tati, but I do applaud her for using her privilege and her platform to call James out. It just, it feels like a slap in the face to people who have been trying to warn forever, but there's not much we can do about it now except for brag. I don't know the right thing to say. I'm just really upset that she was complacent with the disrespect and just everything that James Charles has ever said. And I understand that she was afraid of him, but she has the platform to open up that door, which, like I said, again, I'm glad she did. But I mean, homeboy has 16 million subscribers, and the stan culture is real, and I don't know how long this will stick. And the fact that James has already put out an apology video, and we know that Tati is very sensitive, who's to say that she's not just, you know, gonna open up her arms? I don't know. I'm not saying she will, but again, when somebody shows you who they are, believe them. That goes for the good and that goes for the bad. So if you guys want to be part of the correct community, make sure you subscribe, or make sure you follow me on Twitter. I will link all of my handles below, and I will also link some other videos that I thought did a good job of opening up conversation for this whole entire situation. Sorry this video was so long, but if you made it to the end, make sure you give it a big thumbs up. That helps me out a lot. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let's have a conversation down below in the comments. And until my next video, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye!